Okay. So we are learning Bezat Hashem Torah Daled in the second Likutey Moharan. And we learned that B'chinas Tzedakah is the beginning of everything. That's the master key that unlocks everything. And tzedakah. It unlocks everything. And the avodah of tzedakah is you have to, first of all, you have to break the innate cruelty, selfishness in one's character and break it with rachmanis and give tzedakah, either give tzedakah altogether or give more tzedakah than you're comfortable, or give tzedakah to somebody you don't really like, he doesn't like him so much, whatever. And he says that's the main avodah with tzedakah, because the Rebbe says that if it comes naturally, and a person gives because he's naturally benevolent, and he says that's not the avodah. That's not work. Work is when you have to work through it, when you have to break your natural inclination. And it's true not just with tzedakah, it's true about any avodah. Davening and teves achila and licentious thoughts and all kinds of stuff like this. The avodah comes at the very moment when you don't feel like it. This is when the difficulty starts. And the Rebbe says whenever it is that every beginning is always difficult. Usually when a person first has the idea of doing tshuva. So until he actually, do it and won't do it, I mean it, I don't mean it. It's himself, when a person actually does it, the derech is that he has a lot of siyata d'shmaya. Coming close to Yiddishkeit altogether, or he has a lot of siyata d'shmaya, He enjoys what he learns, he meets people, whatever it is, things are going very well. But after a while, the glitter goes off, and you are looking at life, and it's not so much fun. And it looks like Mishamayim, there's a feeling that they don't want you. People are not that interested in you. That's the feeling that a person gets. But the truth of the matter is that the first tshuva was almost like 95% HaKadosh Baruch Hu and 5% you. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes away most of the siyata d'shmaya, a person feels like he's unwanted, he has to wait, whatever. If a person is serious and he wakes up, he starts doing tshuva all his own. Starts again. And now he's actually doing it. And this beginning is very difficult. Tzedakah opens up the gate. The beginning of tzedakah is difficult, but tzedakah is good because it besides tzedakah for tzedakah also works for any other avodah. And the Rebbe says, the benefit of tzedakah is immense. He says because the very needs, the basic needs, the base necessities, of human being, of eating and drinking and living somewhere, whatever it is, it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and a person can spend his entire lifetime working on it. And it's a great impediment in Avodas Hashem. Even though the ishtadlus that the person does is in itself Avodas Hashem, when a person does it properly, and we said it doesn't, doing it properly means that you know that Kosh Baruch Hu is doing it and not you. When you know that and you do your masamatan that way, what does it mean the way it's supposed to be done? That you know that Kosh Baruch Hu does it? Everybody knows Kosh Baruch Hu is doing it, duh. No, the thing is that suddenly you see a shortcut. So in Parnasa, whatever it is, if you don't tell the other guy or whatever it is, you're helping Hashem help you, quote unquote. That's not doing it properly. Doing it properly means, you're not fooling around.
You know what?
You're not fooling around. You're not deceiving anyone. You're not. That's doing it properly. And tzedakah helps that with a lot. Now, why is this kind of ishtadlus? Why is this avodas Hashem? Because all the melachos in the world are all included, the 39 melachos of Ma'aseh Mishkan. That's one Shabbos, you're not allowed to do all these melachos. Melachos, avos, toildes, and the lametes, the 39 melachos of the Mishkan, correspond to the 39 melachos of Ma'aseh Bereshis. Baruch Hu created the world, creating the melachos, so he can do them, create the world, and they all work, in synchronicity and synchronized. In other words, the Melachos HaMishkan awakens, is actually a reprint of Ma'aseh Bereshis. So in Melachos HaMishkan, you're affecting the Ma'aseh Bereshis. And because Baruch Hu creates the world all the time. So Ma'aseh Mishkan is world was created, Ma'aseh Bereshis, in order to bring the Shechina Kadosh Baruch Hu into this world. And so after the Ma'aseh Egel, Kadosh Baruch Hu has recreated a small transceiver, to this, kedugmas, the Ma'aseh Bereshis, so the Shechina can continue to reside in this world. That's Ma'aseh Mishkan. When a person does melachas, for his parnasa, it's the 39 melachas of the Mishkan. So when a person does the melachas, his avodah, the way it's supposed to be done, he is actuating Ma'aseh Mishkan, and he's actuating the melachas of Ma'aseh Bereshis. So your ishtadlus in avodas Hashem is very, very important. It's avodas Hashem. But nevertheless, even so, when a person does the malacha properly, and with true emunah, a person eventually will all get to the point that even this bare minimum that must be done, that too will be done by the goyim, lo sedovai. V'amdu zorim v'ro tzonchem. So in other words, there's always has to be a shtadlus in this world. But when we are the way it's supposed to be, the goyim do the physical malacha, and with them we have the priest. You're going to be, and the natural beginning point is you do a malacha, you do it honestly. You do a lot, you work a lot, and because Baruch gives you parnasa. In between, there's a level, and the more emunah you have, the more bitochen you have, the less ishtadlus you need to do. All the way to the point that you don't have to do anything. The malacha is being done for you. So the tzedakah helps us because it can bring about the malacha when a person does it. That it's avodas habayra. But if the chef of HaKadosh Baruch Hu would come down, the Ches HaKadosh Baruch Hu would come down upon us, we won't need all this ishtadlos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the whole world without ishtadlos. There was nobody here to be mishtadl, right? So what it says is that right now the chesed is being plugged up because we're not worthy of it. So the flow is being plugged up. So right now we're in a state that when you do, it opens up, the faucet. As that's the pasuk says, L'cha Hashem HaChesed. When the chesed is plugged up by you, chesed is by you, it doesn't come down upon us. You will be paying, you'll be dispensing out the parnasa, as it were, according to the ishtadlus of every single person. But when when the chesed will actually flow properly, as if he's doing. In other words, ultimately, we won't need to do because everything will be done through the Zar. However, will be done through the Gentiles, through the Goyim. So this is we're holding Masif Daled of Torah Daled Likutey Moharan II. The chesed needs to be received step by step.
Where?
In the second chelik Likutey Moharan, Tanina, Torah Daled, Seif Daled. The chesed has to be received in a gradual fashion. Because the tsunami, the glut of kindness, of chesed, is impossible to be makabel. If a person doesn't have the kelim, a person doesn't have the wherewithal to contain the chesed, so the chesed actually drowns him. They say that a tsunami is a flood of chesed. And the ozone layer is a din, right? The hole in the ozone, they say that the hole in the ozone by the Antarctica or something like that.
Yeah.
That's improper chesed. Because the ozone layer needs to be, it's protective. Because we would stop existing. It's like, as they said, that the Ribuy Hashemen, he says, when you put too much oil into a nair, into a menorah, whatever it is, it lashes out the fire. But little by little, this is all he can take. It's too much. Puts it out. So therefore, v'tzorich lasot kli v'tzinor, you have to make a vessel and a pipeline, the kabbalah chesed, in order to receive the chesed. So in a way that it's usable. You can't drink off a river. You need to have a glass. So the water comes all the way to us. It comes through pipes. And if the water comes out, you still cannot use it. You have to use a kli. You have to have a cup, and you put it underneath the card. And, the flow of the water. And this is how you can drink. You need a cane. The same thing is with everything. The same thing is with parnasa. If a person, everybody says that, not everybody, people want to win the lottery very badly. You know that amongst the lottery winners, the great majority are becoming balachoives within a year. Because they don't have the kalim, they don't have the wherewithal to manage this kind of plenty. And the thing is that if you don't have the kalim, what you do is you push it away. You push it away because you don't realize you push it away. You don't think that you're pushing it, but actually you're pushing it away. Because you don't feel it, that it's coming to you. When you don't have it, you want it. It's not because you actually want the money. You want to fulfill your dreams. You want to sweeten, to fulfill the things that you lack. You want to not have the worries for parnasa. You want to pay your debts. You want to marry off your children. You want to give tzedakah. Whatever it is, the reason that you think that you want the money. But when you get the money without, you have to be able to contain it. So people that do it through a business, through some kind of an endeavor, and they do it b'yosha, they know they always have to check the books. How much is the outlay? How much is the income? And balance the books and so forth and so on. So this is building kalim. So like this, it can grow and grow and grow. It can have big shefa without it drowning you. If you give money to somebody, I think somebody once said, when a person is wealthy, a wealthy person says, always give your children money to do something, but never give them enough money to do nothing. So the thing is that you need a keli, you need a chesed. This keli, this tzinor, that pipeline, nasa l'dei yira. Ki l'dei yira nasa chakiko v'tzinor. Through the yira, it becomes an engraving, v'tzinor, a pipeline, l'kabel al yodo yachesed, to receive the chesed. V'chinas u'mechoykek mi ben raglov. It says in Sefer Bereshis, the bracha to Yehuda, mi ben raglov, keregel, mechoykek mi ben raglov, yomeh chakika. Between raglov means keregel v'chinas yira. Regel is the sof, it says, sof davar yis Hashem. Right? It's the, Hashem yirak ezeh kol ha'odem. Ki yira v'chinas sof, that's the lowest madrega is the madrega of the malchus, which is in of yira. Yira. He says, ilmaleh ma'ra shel malchus. If it wasn't for the yira, that the people are afraid from the malchus, ishat reu chayim balau, a man would swallow up his fellow man. We know that. So the malchus is they has the capacity to manage it. Yira is pchinas malchus. It says regel is the end of the body. Pchinas regel mechokem ben raglo. Hainu shalidei yira, that by having yira she pchinas regel, which is the essence of regel. Nase chakika v'tzinor, that performs an engravement and a piping and a channeling, the kabel toicha is a chesed, in order to be able to contain the chesed, constrict it, and contain it in the way that it is usable and it is applicable. You can use it in a positive manner. I mean, when you a motor of the cars that are working with a combustion engine. So what happens is that it's an explosion. Gas of some sort, gasoline or whatever it is aerated with air. It's being put into a cylinder, and there's a spark, and it explodes. What happens inside the cylinder of an engine is an explosion. Explosion is an unbridled release of energy, right? in on itself, you can't do anything with it. But when it's done in the confines of the cylinder of the engine, and the engine is constructed in such a way that there's a keli, the tziner, that the explosion is directed in a certain vein, a certain channel. It drives the piston, and that piston, converts that energy, spherical energy, into a rotational energy, and goes out, to the motor, to the gear, whatever it is, and drives the car. So you see that an explosion is a kaviochel rov chesed in this respect. And then when you harness it with a kli, with a tziner, you can drive a car with it. You can fly a plane with it. So you need the channel. So you need the chesed. You need the giving to beginning, because otherwise if you don't give, nothing starts. And that chesed has to be channeled, has to be controlled, has to be contained, and then it's usable. And here flowered the staff of Aaron to the house of Levi. What the pasuk is telling us, besides the fact that Bnei Israel were upset, who Hashem chose to be a Kohen, who Hashem to be a Levi, the whole of Korach and Hadassah, the whole balagan that happened then. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says, let every nasi of the Shvatim give his staff, and take all the 12 staffs and put them in Kodesh HaKodeshim. In the morning, take them out. Moshe Rabbeinu put it in Kodesh HaKodeshim. In the morning, put it out. And the staff of Aaron, the staff is something, it's a wood that is already dry. It's dead wood, and it's dry, and it's tough. And the staff of Aaron HaKohen, flourished. You have flowers and nuts and almonds. So Parach Mate Aaron Lebes Levi. Fear flowered and gave forth fruit, the staff of Aaron to the house of Levi. I know a chesed, which B'chinas Aaron, which is Kohen, B'chinas chesed, which is the right side. So lekabla der keli, you have to be mekabel through the keli. Shu B'chinas Yira, Yira Sitra de Levi. Levi is the side of Levi, the side of small, of Gvura, of the left side. Because the shorsh of the Levim is from the Gvura. The Yira is an offshoot of Gvuras. Zeh B'chinas as in Tehillim Gvuras Yesha Yeminoi. The Gvuras is the kli with which to be mekabel the Yeshua, the salvation, the redemption that comes from the right side, which is the chesed. So we have established that if we had the chesed flowing down, the way it's supposed to be, we don't have to do any shtadlos. So we be done with the Goyim. We don't need to do that. Vatem koneh Hashem tikaro. You can be Kohen. You can just go ahead and not worry about it. But we are not in that state. So we have to be mekabel the chesed, step by step. We have to, each one according to the way what it can receive and what it can contain. And the thing that can contain the chesed is yira. Because, let's take parnasa for instance. When a person is making money, and let's say he works for somebody, he's an employee. So, the temptation is not that great to do all kinds of feilishtik. What are you going to do? You come in the morning, you click, you punch your clock, and then you take off your coat. When you go home, first you put on your coat, and then you punch your clock, and you stole 2 minutes. Okay. What are you going to steal a pencil? What are you going to do? Of course, you have to do Masamatan Be'emunah. You have to make sure that the time you paid for, you're going to work, whatever it is. But when you're making, much more money, the temptation to start doing all kinds of other shtick is a lot greater. And the thing that will keep you in line is yira. The more yira you have, the more money you can have and still keep on, being on a straight and narrow, as it were. And now Rabbeinu says, okay, so now we know yira is a thing that keeps you from doing all kinds of shtiyot. Said, okay, all kinds of nonsense. Now comes the question is, okay, how do you get yira? The Rebbe is teaching us step by step how this is done. The main yira is a result of the revelation of the will of Hashem. B'chinas, it said the Apostle, Retzon Re'av Yaseh. So Al Pi Pshat, you learn the will of those who fear Hashem, Hashem will do. Retzon Re'av Yaseh. These are people, Yeshamayim. They want something, because both will do it. But Al Pi Remez is something else. Al Dei Isgalus Retzon Re'av Yaseh. Is that the Isgalus, the revelation of the Rotzoin, construct and produces yira. Rabbeinu explains. What does it mean? When it being revealed that the world is not happenstance, it's not something around my nature, but everything is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu is behind everything. As the Rambam says, Kadosh Baruch Hu alone, Osa, Oisa, V'yasa, V'kol HaMaisa. Baruch Hu does everything. And when a person does, without Siyata Deshmaya, it will not succeed. But the truth is that without the Rotzon HaKadosh, without Siyata from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a person doesn't even do. You need Siyata Deshmaya to do. Then you need Siyata Deshmaya to succeed. So for that to be revealed, that everything is done in accordance to the Rotzon of Hashem, that there's no such thing as nature that forces Chas v'Chalila Kadosh Baruch Hu to do anything. Haynu al-adeshin izgal shakol misnag b'rtzon Yisbarach. Ki hu Yisbarach bara kol b'rtzon. Kadosh Baruch Hu created everything with his Rotzon. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted it. B'li shem chiyuv klal. There's no obligation. Nobody forced the Kadosh Baruch Hu to do anything. Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't owe anything to anyone. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is sustaining and is giving vitality to everything because he wants to. And there's no force of nature that requires anything to be anyway. Or that has to be that way. The Rebbe says, I think in Torah Tes, the Rebbe says that there is a malach that is combined, it's a Gemara, that's a malach combined from all the nisim, from all the miracles. It says, Nisa Eloah v'Nisa Tatorah, the supernal miracles and the lower miracles. He says the malach that combined them, he says, it looks like an egel, like a calf, upritas faseh. What is supernal miracles? What is lower miracles? Lower miracles is what people call nature. The fact that the world keeps on behaving the way that you can trust is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is performing a constant miracle. All the time, more and more and more and more. Every single nanosecond the entire world is created, and the world behaves in a way that the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants it, and the repetition of the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called Nisim Tatoim, the lower Nisim.
Nisim.
Nisim miracles.
What was the other one you said?
The lower Nisim.
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 Nisim
Nisim Tataim. It's the lower.
Train?
Tataim. It's an Aramaic.
Oh.
And then you have a Nisim Elohim, the Nisim from above. These are the miracles which is outside the regular way that we are used to seeing things. Then the fact that it's a Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu is much more easily evident. You can see it much more easily. He says, but the thing is, there's no chiyuv to be beklal. Everything is done. So validei ze nasa yira. He says, when it is being revealed that everything is done because the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants it to be that way, that gives birth to yira. Then you start being afraid. Right? He says, ki hazah yesh chal v'onesh. Kodesh Baruch Hu does everything. Everything comes from Him. If I do something right, there's chal. If chas v'chalila do something wrong, chas v'chalila there's oinish, there's punishment. There's yira. But if a person has no emunah, if a person has no yira, al pi derech hateva, according to the opinion of the Mechakrim, as the Rebbe called them, the Chayesras, al pi derech hateva, there's absolutely no reason for schar v'onesh. The world behaved, either it worked out or it didn't work out. That's it. When you know that everything's a Kodesh Baruch Hu, Kodesh Baruch Hu does everything because He wants it to be that way. Whoa, then I really have to, to make sure that I don't, behave the way I'm not supposed to. Now, there's an asayir, yesh chal v'onesh. L'shach l'siyara mipon ha'mizbach. Then it's shach b'chlal, to have yir shamayim. Because if you have absolutely no notion that Kodesh Baruch Hu is behaving with you, that the world is behaving the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it to, it's not shach schar v'onesh, it's shach yira. As Rabbeinu Zichron Livracha said, Zeh Brochus, that Yaakov Avinu, when Esav came to him, Vayir Yaakov Me'oid, Yaakov had great yira. And Rashi said, Shema Yigram Achet. In Masechet Brochus, it says, why was Yaakov Avinu so worried? He said Yaakov Avinu was afraid because he was Yireh Shem Yigram Achet, because he was Yir Shemayim, or Schar v'onesh. That produced yira in Yaakov Avinu. The yira comes from fear of punishments, from fear of results, of consequences. But when the Ratzon does not get revealed, everything is concealed. You take a look at the world, and the world looks like nothing going on. Each one does wherever it wants. There's no en schava, chas v'chalila. We're sovereign sheyesh chiyuv b'teva, and they think that chas v'chalila there's an obligation that the teva forces, the way that the world behaves. Chas v'sholem kil misnag agopi teva, as if everything is conducted according to the laws of nature. Chas v'sholem, en shaykh yira klal. What's the point of yira? If the world is running kiviyochol al pi teva, what's shaykh to be afraid from what? Al pi derech hateva, there's no shaykh, no schar v'onesh. Ken schar v'onesh klal. Chas v'sholem. Chas v'kol mitzay gara pi chiyav atem, chas v'sholem. If a person lives under the optical illusion, the hypnotic trance, that the world is governed by the teva, and the thing is that each of us, we all have that to a certain extent. People get sick, they go to doctors.
People what?
People get sick, they go to doctors. Go to doctors. Okay, you're not that afraid. It's not being... Doctor says, you have to go to a professor. Oh, he's going to the professor, you start worrying about it, he says some tehillim, whatever it is, go to the professor. The professor tells you, listen, you have to take the patient to, I don't know, to Sloan Catering or to some kind of hospital in Boston. You have to make an operation with what? And you make you get a lot of money, put money together and tzedakah, and you get the scums from Rabbanim, whatever it is, and you worry a lot, whatever it is. If the person gets to that doctor in America, and doctor in America tells him, you believe in Hashem? He says, yeah. So, well, I suggest that you daven. Ooh. Then a person really starts to daven. What happened? Until now, he didn't know that everything is Hashem's hand. Why suddenly you are tearing open the heavens with your tefillahs? Why are you crying and Tanesa, whatever it is that people do? Because you come to the end of the line when you realize there is no teva. As long as you think that teva can help you, it's the famous joke that a lawyer was driving. He had to appear in court, and the judge was a very strict judge. And the lawyer was late. And he comes with his car, and there's no place to park the car. So he's so upset, this lawyer, because he's so afraid of the judge. So the lawyer says, he says, please help me find a parking space. And as he says that, a car pulls out. So the lawyer says, okay, Hashem says, no need. I'm Sudar, everything, it's okay. Oh, it's okay, no, don't worry, I don't need anyone. As long as you think that there's an option, okay, I'll handle it. Okay, I'll take it from here. Thank you. When a person realizes that there is no from here, that everything is from here, that everything is a Kodesh Baruch Hu, then there's zero. And even then, there are nisyos. Even then, there are that a person can be. You can drive your car and scratch somebody else's car. And you drive away. Because there's an attack of the Yetzer Hara, of the stinginess, as Rabbeinu says, the achzarius. And you drive away. And then you chapa, what have I done? What have I done? Now I got things a lot worse than they ever were. If I would have left a note or tell the driver, listen, I scratch your car, if anything else, give me a call, whatever it is, it's done, it's money, and it's done. But when the derech hateva overcomes me, and I'm saying, oh man, I have to take care of number one, right, of myself. Now I'm going to have to tell them, listen, sketch your car, whatever it is. Maybe you won't find. Maybe. Now I'm in a far greater conundrum. I don't know what car it is. I don't know who it is. And it's Gezel. How do I repay him? I don't know who to repay. What do I do with this? And it has to be Tzchava Onish. But if people, so in other words, even when you will live within the umbrella of your Shemaim and Avodas Hashem and everything else, nevertheless, there's all the time this gabrus of what Rabbeinu calls later on Metzach HaNachash, that Yetzer Hara, Metzach HaNachash, the forehead of the snake, which is Chochmes HaTeva. Listen, if I don't tell him, so it's okay. He wouldn't know, he won't be upset with me. And then it's a problem. Because living with Gezel is a big problem. It's a big problem. And the thing is, if you don't remediate it, you forget it. Reb Simcha Bar Lev told me that in the yeshivas Volozhin, Poland, there was Reb Chaim Volozhin, the Talmud of the Gra. He was the Rosh Yeshiva there. And he went at night. He went in the corridors of the yeshiva. He was a very, very great man. And he saw a niftar. He saw a niftar of somebody who had deceased. Was a bocher from the yeshiva, was a tzaddik of a bocher that passed away. He saw him there in the yeshiva. So Chaim Volozhin asked him, so what are you doing here? So he said that he used to live by an inn that was owned by an almona, whatever it is, and he had to pay her a few pennies. And he never did. In Gan Eden, they don't let him in because he owes this almona a few pennies. So he asked the Chaim Volozhin, can you please tell a bacher that also lives there, to give, to do me a favor and give these pennies to the almona so I can get. The only thing that held him up was a few pennies that he owed this almona. The same thing is applicable not only when you owe people money, when people owe you money. It's the same thing. There's the famous story from the Baal Shem Tov that the Zohar Kodesh says in Parshas Mishpatim. Zohar says, Ela Mishpatim, this is Da Raza de Gilgula. That's the secret of incarnations. Reincarnations. So the Maggid asked the Baal Shem Tov to explain this to him. So he sent him to a certain place. And he said, there's a tree there, right next to a flowing brook, water. So stand there and look, see what's going on there. So the Maggid went there, and he saw there's a rich man coming. And by the tree, he stopped, got off his wagon, his coach, whatever it is, and he rested, drank some water, whatever it is, rested a little while, then got back on his coach and drove away. And then the Maggid saw that he left behind his satchel, his wallet, with his coins, all his money. As the Maggid watched, there came a poor person. And he saw, the pekala with money, the money bag. Davar be'itov matov, right? And he took it and he went away. And then came a third person and rested there under the tree. While he's there, comes the coach of this rich man. And he gets off the coach and he says to the third person, where's my money? He says, what are you talking about? He says, I was here and I left my money here. Kitzur, he cannot find his money. And he beats that person up to a pulp. And he drives away. The Maggid sees it and he goes back to the Baal Shem. Hashem told him, I'll tell you what you saw. The rich man and the poor man, in previous Gilgul, the rich man owed the poor man money, and they went to Beis Din. And the Dayan was, made a psak improperly, and said that the person who owes the money doesn't have to pay. So the money went to the poor person. Poor person was supposed to get it because it's his money. The third person was the judge, the reincarnation of the judge. And that rich person, that the one that was supposed to pay in the previous Gilgul, beat the judge up. Why? Because of him, he had to come again in the Gilgul. But what's being lost in the story, besides obviously the Musar Askel of how much a person needs to be careful from Gezel, is the poor person, the person who was owed, also had to come again in the Gilgul. That's why if you owe people money or people owe you money, you should, if you want to get paid, it can be, maybe you can moichel al tnai, if they end up not paying me for any reason, I'm moichel. Something happens, I'm moichel. But if they pay, matov. If not, and do it properly according to Allah. So because if they owe you money and they don't pay you, not only they have to come to Gilgul, you have to come to Gilgul also to get paid. There's bad business all over, no matter which way you look at it. So it makes all the sense in the world for a person to run a list of all the debts that he owes, and all the debts that he does, that he remembers, maybe remembers, doesn't remember, whatever it is, and go to a Rav and say, okay, whatever it is that you pay, etc. If you can't pay for whatever reason, please give them a call. If they're, if they're your Shemayim, give them a call and tell them, listen, that's the story. I can't pay. Chas v'chalila, something happens, we both have to come in the Gilgul. So do you and me a favor, and either be moichel midachol b'chlal, or else if you don't want, do it in such a way that halachically, that if chas v'chalila, I'm not saying if I'm trying to get away with murder. That's the heck with it, and I couldn't. No. Make it if I truly could not pay you, and chas v'chalila something happened, and I left this world without paying you, you're moichel. This whole Indian of Gezel is a very, very serious business. Hashem Yisborach should help us. We'll be all saved from Gezel, the Raisa, Gezel, the Rabbanon, because the beginning of tzedakah is paying what you owe. That's the first thing. Because you can't do tzedakah with somebody else's money.
Does that go with books too? If you borrow books and you don't return, you come back for that too?
I don't know. This I don't know. It's a good question, but if you want, I can make up something for you, but I don't know.
Somebody told me that. It's hard to believe that.
Could be, I don't know. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know.
So you borrow from, you don't borrow from a person, you borrow from credit card.
Yeah,
Make
so
a charge.
there's a different deen. There's a different deen for that, and the reason I don't know exactly what the deen is, but I know that there is an Indian that chometz b'Pesach can be put in a yeshiva. You can take your chometz and put it in the yeshiva. You give it to the yeshiva. The yeshiva doesn't belong to a certain single person. It's an entity. So it's not called, you're not over b'bali roy balimot because it's not your chometz. And people in the yeshiva, that I know. But with the money, with the entities, with companies, whatever it is, I assume there is some kind of a deal halacha about it. But there's definitely a place for that. I know about chometz. I don't know about.
Session today with involving credits.
Yeah, so I assume that there's a difference. But what the difference is, I'm not exactly sure. Should have, B'ezrat Hashem, good Shabbos, and B'ezrat Hashem continue, B'ezrat Hashem next week. Yesterday, we counted 25 days to the Omer. It's the very middle It's Netzach the Netzach today. That's the sphere of Rabbeinu. The very middle. Interesting thing. Maybe next week. Next week we'll have another shir. We have another shir because it's like Ba'omer, right? It's like
I think
Ba'omer.
it's Thursday night.
Thursday
So I
night.
thought-
So, should we do it on Wednesday maybe? There's not a shir on Wednesday, right? Yeah, we have a shir on Wednesday, so we have to do it on Thursday. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Whoever's not Meron, and it's a Shem. Kol Tuv, good Shabbos.